Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy. So that was an amazing episode of Agatha All Along that answered a lot of questions, but it also raised a lot of questions. Like, why did Lilia place the sigil on Billy? Because doing this essentially led Wanda to go insane in Multiverse of Madness and ended her life. But we're going to explain how this action set up a chain of events that are not only going to save the multiverse in Avengers Secret Wars, but will also lead to Wanda being reunited with her sons and then rebooting the Marvel Universe in 2027. In this deep dive, we're going to break down the tarot cards, palm reading, and get into some super nerdy stuff about Loki and the Sacred Timeline. And we know how much you love to nerd out, and that is why we made this Agatha parody merch for sale at our merch store, ScreenCrushMerch.com. We have our brand new Billy All Along shirt, Mephisto confirmed, and lots of other Marvel parodies that you can find linked below. Thank you guys for watching. Now let's take a deep dive into this prophecy. But first, let's break down what actually happens in this scene. And by the way, for clarity's sake, I will refer to William Kaplan as the boy who got the bar mitzvah and had his palm read. But Billy Maximoff is the person he becomes after his soul enters William's body. So we know that William was a huge fan of magicians. We see this from the Houdini posters in his room, but also his bar mitzvah was magic themed. This is why they hired a fortune teller to be present for his bar mitzvah's reception. Now his interest in magic and magicians would also make him an ideal vessel for Billy's soul later in the episode. Now when he arrives, she says,
"Are we looking behind us or ahead?"
Now, this is because sometimes people go to a psychic because they're seeking information about a dead loved one. You know, they want to know about the past.
Your great-grandmother is contacting me right now, and she wants to know if this rash looks like it's going to go away.
But we all know that Lilia's true power is that she is a seer who sees the future. So let's pause here and talk about the MCU's rules regarding seeing the future. In the movie Doctor Strange, the Ancient One is able to use the Time Stone to peer into her own future. This allowed her to find an ideal path forward both for herself and for the protection of the Earth. And also, she could see no further than her own death.
I've spent so many years peering through time, looking at this exact moment, but I can't see past it.
And then, in Avengers Infinity War, Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to examine 14 million possible outcomes. So this is telling us that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the future is rarely a fixed thing.
What they did was supposed to happen. You escaping was not.
There is, however, one exception to this. We also learned about absolute points in time and anchor beings. In the show What If, we see an absolute point in time is disrupted, so it leads to the destruction of a universe. And then in Deadpool and Wolverine, we learned that there are certain people who are anchor beings, or nexus beings as they're called in the comics, who have certain destinies that they must fulfill.
Yeah, like Logan dying in the movie Logan.
Yes, but we also learned that Wade Wilson has an important destiny to the Sacred Timeline as well.
Whatever you did here, you not only saved your world, you spared your timeline from extinction.
So this tells us that certain events are preordained, but much of the future is in flux. Personally, I think Lilia's prophecy was a mix of these two things. As we'll see in a second, Lilia is actually affected by her own future, but I think she also sees two distinct timelines in front of her. And this is foreshadowed by her asking,
"Are we looking behind us or ahead?"
She tells him,
Your lifeline is broken in two.
now, a break in the lifeline means, many things, like she says. It usually means that you will face challenges that you will overcome to fulfill your destiny. So this would imply that William is destined to die so that Billy can inhabit his body. Two distinct lifelines also implies that this body will be inhabited by two souls. A broken lifeline also implies physical trauma, like dying in a car crash. However, as we pointed out in our Easter egg video, the broken lifeline could also symbolize a break in the Sacred Timeline. After all, the events of this accident do occur around the same time as the events of Loki Season 1. The splintering of the lifeline would also mean that Billy/William is a nexus being. By dying, he creates a new timeline where Billy's soul has a body to inhabit.
Hey, do you guys have any disinfectant? I cut myself a bunch.
Oh, jeez, what happened to you, man?
Oh, jeez, man. Oh, God, what happened to you?
I was, shaving.
With what, a rusty machete?
Maybe.
No, man, you have to upgrade. See, I used an old manual razor for years, but then I upgraded to the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver by Manscaped. They're the sponsor of this video.
Manscaped? The men's global lifestyle brand that sets the bar higher in men's grooming standards?
That's right. Manscaped, the global men's lifestyle brand that sets the bar higher in men's grooming standards. See, like I said, I used manual shavers for years. This is the actual razor that I've used my entire life since I was 17. But then I finally switched to the Chairman Pro. It features a 360-degree contouring head and comes with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blades. Very easy to replace.
Yeah, but your neck is so stubby right now.
Well, yeah, because I use this skin-safe stubble attachment with 2 separate combs depending on the length of stubble that I want, 1 to 2 days or 3 to 5 days. But just to show you guys how well this works, I'm going to easily swap out to the 4-blade foil for a super close shave. And here we go. Genuinely, I cannot believe how well that worked. So both of these blades are designed to reduce razor burn and irritation, so your skin feels smooth and comfortable after every shave. And check this out, they have Flex Adjust technology. The blades and head flex and adjust to the contours of your face and neck, giving you a more precise and comfortable shave. And if you want even more precision, on the right side of the bracket there is a precision lock that makes this blade head sit firm. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can use it in the shower, making your grooming routine easier and cleaner. Guys, the Chairman Pro is powerful enough to tackle up to 5 days of growth. Perfect if you're shaving every day or just trying to tidy up a few key areas. It even has a travel lock, the LED spotlight, and the charge is good for up to 75 minutes, in case you take a really long time to shave. So if you are looking to elevate your grooming routine, then you gotta try the Chairman Pro by Manscaped. This is the ultimate tool for your job. Use promo code ScreenCrush for 20% off your order plus free shipping. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with promo code ScreenCrush at manscaped.com or click our link below. You won't regret it. This is a great shaver. Now, back to what I was saying. So let's go back and look at the moment Lilia sees her prophecy.
It's clear that a long journey lies ahead of you. This journey will be one of great transformation and...
Notice she starts off doing her regular spiel that she tells everyone, but upon the word transformation, she sees the future where William is transformed into Billy. Now, I want to take a moment to clarify how Lilia's abilities appear to work. Several times throughout the show, we have seen her have a vision, which makes it seem like she's screaming at nothing.
Try to save Agatha.
But later, we see the events in the future that sparked her vision in the past.
I hated this the first time!
Now, when Lilia has these visions, in the moment, she is not able to differentiate if she's seeing the present, past, or future. Like if you've ever seen the show Westworld, you know this is how robots experience memory. Because they're machines, they remember events with such perfect, clear detail that they actually have trouble differentiating between the past and the present. So, in this scene, Lilia sees a fixed future. However, I think that she also sees that this future is dependent upon her actions. Now, this is going to get into the whole debate of free will versus determinism. And believe me, we went through a lot of that debate during our coverage of the show Loki. But essentially, free will means that everyone in the universe has total freedom over their actions, whereas determinism is the philosophy that says that everybody's role is already written for them. And I'm not just talking about religious determinism or faith in some higher power. For instance, in the Watchmen universe, all of time that will ever happen has essentially already happened. Therefore, characters like Dr. Manhattan, who knows the future, must still always act in a way that assures those future events will occur. And this is another way of expressing determinism. I think this is what we're seeing with Lilia. She does see 2 possible futures, but she also knows that she must act to assure the proper future will happen. I mean, after all, she says,
You're becoming a man. A new you.
Okay, so what's the proper future?
Well, Doug, I'm going to get into that just a little bit later in the video, but I will say that I think the show is directly setting up 3 different Avengers projects, including Avengers Secret Wars. But first, let's look at her vision just a little bit closer. There are 2 important tarot card tapestries behind William. Now, we did dive deep into these in our Easter egg video, but I want to dive just a little bit deeper into this card, the Tower. The Tower card depicts a tower being destroyed and then 2 figures falling from it. Now, in Agatha All-Along's promotional material, we saw this card changed slightly. The mountain is made to look like the shrine to Chthon on Mount Wundagore, which we saw in Multiverse of Madness. And the 2 figures falling look very much like Billy and Tommy Maximoff. This card even bears the sigil that Lilia places onto William. So the Tower is often associated with crisis, destruction, and sudden change. These are the events depicted at the top of the card. However, the card is also about change, higher learning, and liberation, just as Billy's soul is liberated from his body. Now, Lilia says,
The tower reversed.
And to highlight this reversal, we see William reflected upside down in her crystal ball, just like the depiction of William in the tarot card. So here's what I think Tower Reverse means. The Tower is the hex placed around Westview in the show WandaVision, because the Tower card is also associated with the color red. Its element is fire, and its planet is Mars, and its stone is ruby. The hex was red, so is the Tower card. So as the Tower is destroyed, the souls of Billy and Tommy are freed and are falling outward. In order to stop their fall and turn this crisis into a liberation, they must find new bodies. This would essentially reverse the destruction of the hex and give Billy and Tommy new life, hence Tower Reversed. However, Tower Reversed could also mean a lack of gathering knowledge. In other words, amnesia. In this episode, we see that Billy does not remember his past life, but also remember, this does happen to Wanda in the comics.
Yeah, I don't read comics.
Well, in the comics, Wanda lost her sons when she realized they were pieces of Mephisto's soul. Afterwards, Agatha placed a spell on her that made her forget her sons ever existed. Now then, after Wanda remembered them, she destroyed the Avengers and killed a bunch of people, altered reality, and we've seen much of these events depicted in the MCU. However, after these events, Wanda was presumed dead, but she actually had amnesia. Very long story short, she was shacked up with Dr. Doom and planned to marry him. Now, she was freed from Doom's mind control when her reincarnated sons, Billy and Tommy, led the Young Avengers to find her. Remember all that information for later. So then Lilia says,
I just remembered something, I think.
Now remember, for Lilia, the events of the past, present, and future blur together. Now stay with me because this gets into some, kind of weird timey-wimey stuff. If Lilia places a sigil on William, that means that the sigil will affect her in the future. Therefore, whenever Lilia has seen a vision of the future, that vision would then be clouded by the sigil. So, before this bar mitzvah, Lilia might have seen a vision of Billy Kaplan. But after the sigil is placed, its effects would ripple backward in time. So this would mean that if Lilia saw a vision of Billy before this, she would no longer remember having that vision, which is why she says,
I just remembered something, I think.
And this is also why, after William leaves, Lilia remembers that she has to place this sigil on him. So that means in a future episode, she's likely going to remember that she was the one who placed the sigil to begin with. But the question is, why does she place the sigil? Well, think about the events that this sigil sets into place. Had she not put the sigil on him, then Billy would not have been hidden from his mother. So Wanda would have found her son. This would mean that she would have never used the Darkhold to dreamwalk through the multiverse, because she only did that to find her sons. So then, the events of Multiverse of Madness would have never happened.
Well, yeah, but that's a good thing.
No. That's a bad thing, because remember, Wanda still has the Darkhold. So imagine a future where Wanda has both of her sons, but she continues to study this evil book. Remember, she was studying the Darkhold before she heard her sons call out to her in the WandaVision post-credit scene. So, in a reality where Wanda had the Darkhold and her sons, the book still would have corrupted her. But then she would have spread that corruption to her son, an incredibly powerful witch with powers very similar to hers.
Oh dear.
Oh dear is right. Now, I'm not really cool with how Wanda was portrayed in Multiverse of Madness, but the end result was that the Darkhold was destroyed in every reality. So this meant that no variant of Doctor Strange or Wanda could use the Darkhold to threaten the multiverse. But also, I don't really think that Wanda died. I think that, like in the comics and like her son, she has amnesia. And remember, we saw the shrine from Wundagore Mountain in the Void in Deadpool and Wolverine. So we think this means that when Wanda destroyed the Darkhold, she was pulled into this void. And there is a good chance that Avengers Secret Wars takes place in the Void at the end of time and space. So Lilia's actions prevented Wanda from endangering the multiverse. And this sigil also assured that Wanda would be at the Void at the end of time, where she's going to serve an important role in the next Avengers films. And remember guys, when we talk about possible futures, we're also talking about glimpsing into the multiverse. Because the multiverse is infinite, and so are possible futures, that means that any universe you can imagine does exist somewhere in that infinite multiverse. And I love how, even in such a small way, this show has now become a key component to the multiverse saga. So for the next part of this theory, I do have to retread some ground we talked about on the channel before. And I know that a lot of you watch our channel a lot, and we really do feel your love through the comments and following our Discord and our merch store and all that. But I am also tired of talking to you virtually, and that is why we are going on tour to 11 cities this year and next year. It's going to be so much fun. We are going to nerd out, do trivia, have heated arguments with guests on stage. It is going to be so much fun where you can meet us face to face, and you can buy tickets for that live tour at our link below. First show is in Boston, November 14th. If you watch the channel a lot, then you're familiar with our theories on Young Avengers, Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars. So I'm going to briefly go over some of those theories, but then I'm going to add in a new wrinkle that this show just set up. In the comics, after Wanda disassembles the Avengers, this activates a piece of the Vision's programming. Now, at this point, the Vision had been destroyed, but like part of his programming lived on. Comics are weird. So his programming was that in the event of the Avengers being destroyed, he was to gather together any individuals with connections to the Avengers so they could reform the team. Agatha All-Along showrunner Jack Schaefer was originally working on a spin-off called Vision Quest, which would have followed the further adventures of White Vision. Now, she abandoned that project to focus on Agatha All-Along, but Picard Season 3 showrunner Terry Matalas is now running Vision Quest. So I think that show is going to be about Mayo Vision assembling the Young Avengers. In the comics, the Young Avengers consist of Wiccan, Billy Kaplan, Patriot, also known as Elijah Bradley, whose grandfather Isaiah was the Black Captain America post-World War II in the MCU. There's also Hulkling, who is the son of Mar-Vell and a Skrull princess, Kate Bishop, who is the new Hawkeye, and Cassie Lang, Ant-Man's daughter, who we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And eventually they added other members such as Tommy, Billy's brother, America Chavez, also a teen version of Vision, and Kid Loki, and Iron Lad, and a bunch of others that won't be in the MCU. Now, for me, the seminal event for this team was the story I referenced earlier, the Children's Crusade. The Children's Crusade was about Billy and Tommy finding their mom and helping her redeem herself. And we've already gotten a huge Young Avengers tease. Kamala Khan met Kate Bishop in the final scene of The Marvels, and then they teased that they were going to go off and recruit Cassie Lang.
I'm putting together a team. Did you know Ant-Man had a daughter?
But I think that Vision Quest is going to firmly establish how Vision's programming is going to bring all of these characters together. Now, leaker Daniel RPK has said that all of the shows and movies taking place between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars are actually going to be set on Battleworld, which is probably going to be the void at the end of time. So I think this means that both Vision Quest and Young Avengers are going to take place on Battleworld. I think the Avengers will fail in Avengers Doomsday, just like they failed in Infinity War. And then it's going to be up to the kids to find the one person who can rewrite reality and challenge Dr. Doom, and that person is
my friend Kenny.
No, not your friend Kenny. Wanda Maximoff. And as I've said in many past videos and on our Discord server, I think Wanda is going to be the one who gives birth to a rebooted multiverse that consolidates the X-Men and Avengers universes into a rebooted MCU. But now, it is clear that Billy Maximoff is going to play a very important role in the future. Otherwise, Lilia would not have placed that sigil on him. Now, the sigil clearly was not there to protect Billy from Agatha. I mean, she clocked who he was right away.
You're so much like your mother.
The sigil was only in place to prevent Wanda from finding her sons. And this means that, right now, the most important character in the MCU is not Loki or Doctor Strange or Wolverine. The entire future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe hinges on Patti LuPone. Well guys, that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think of Lilia's prophecy down in the comments below. And don't forget, we have our link to Manscaped down in the comments below, as well as links to our merch store, live show, and Discord. Or you can also find me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.